welcome back to 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim's spoiler commentary playthrough. I am Hamburger Chariot, and I am here with my best friend Mirth Mauser.
Hello, hello, we are back. We are finally back to react to Good Boy Sekigahara.
Let's immediately jump in, because we're going to have a lot to say about our golden child, Assassin Boy.
That does bring up a question. Would you technically say he's an assassin at this point? Like, this version of him, would you say he's an assassin, even though he has a lot of assassin traits?
I mean, he's killed a bunch of people already.
Has he, though?
Yeah. Don't forget that this is like the last thing that happens before the final battle. He's done a lot before this point.
I know he stuns a lot of the people chasing him. I know he's a 13 Sentinels pilot. I know obviously his 2188 self is a literal assassin. But if this version of him killed people before, that's news to me.
Looks like I've lost them for now. I have to consider my next moves.
The thing is that a lot of his route, as we'll go through it, does leave it up in the air of who he was and what he's done. I specifically do not remember this. Do not remember this version in specific being an assassin. It just leaves you as the audience asking if he is or not. And then ultimately, I remember the answer being, no, he isn't. That's just who his 2188 self was, and that's who Tetsuya Ida is saying he is to manipulate him into killing Morimura.
I said so in that message to myself. Must have still had my memories when I left it. I also said something about a way to escape this world. Details about the dead woman I found. Chihiro Morimura, 31. Sakura High School nurse. Sakura High School? Isn't that where the ID card came from? Sakura High School, Class 1B. Iori Fuyusaka. She definitely looks familiar, but from where? Why can't I remember? Maybe if I find this Fuyusaka person, I'll finally remember something.
Come in.
And especially for
Are you there?
Maybe it's a car key?
Sekigahara. Now pick up. Don't be a fool.
This signal's from somewhere nearby. That's not good.
That's a survival instinct's kicking in. Not wanting to pick it up. Wanting to pick up this strange
I know you can hear me, Sekigahara.
An old-fashioned phone.
Now pick up.
Could it be a phone number?
I'm not your enemy.
I'm not so sure about that.
I know you can hear me, Sekigahara. Now pick up.
Can I just say, fuck, this scene is gorgeous. Like,
it is so pretty. The lighting.
Like, this whole game is gorgeous, but when I think of gorgeous 13 Sentinels moments, this is one of the first ones that comes to mind.
I know you can hear me, Sekigahara.
The green, the blue, like
Don't be a fool.
Like these are the colors of the game. These greens and blues, these very sci-fi elements, and yet this city and this space is specifically, not high-tech and sci-fi, and yet it has the same color palette and it invokes this nightlife mystery, and it's so good, it's so gorgeous.
Well, I mean, it kind of is high-tech and sci-fi. These are all artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's true, but you know what I mean. Setting-wise, not literal.
There you are. I take it you've seen the recording, then.
Who are you?
Just a friend who's trying to help out.
A friend?
I didn't expect you to be so
I want to pay extra attention to how his route ends.
Regardless, you handled the Morimura assignment well.
So you're the one who wrote those instructions. I can't remember anything.
That's exactly why I've contacted you. Listen, it's not safe out there. Don't trust anyone.
Anyone? Including you?
Better to be too careful than too careless. Otherwise, you'll never escape from this world.
Escape?
In the meantime, just stay put and don't go far. I'll see what I can do about your pursuers. You'll hear from me again soon.
It disconnected. Don't trust
Admittedly...
anyone, huh?
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, admittedly, how his route ends is a little bit of a blur to me. Like, I do remember the events that happened.
From
I'm trying
memory-
to think, like, what are the specific answers to all of these mysteries set up from here alone? And I realize, I don't think I remember the answers to all these little things.
From memory, the
And
way his route ends is he gets the scene where he confronts Robo-Ida.
That I
and,
remember. He kills him to save Iori. That I remember.
Yeah.
But it's just specific things like, you know, like the message being from Ida, and you know, this the careful manipulative wording here that makes me think, okay, so yes, Ida was using him. Ida was manipulating him, basically lying to him. But I'm trying to remember why. And I don't have an answer for that. Ignore my dogs, she doesn't matter.
I think it's because Sekigahara was in an easy position for Ida to manipulate to do his bidding, and not anyone else really was. So Ida just took advantage of that.
That makes sense enough. I'm just trying to think, like, why... I forget, like, why did he... If he's the one that gave Sekigahara these instructions to kill Morimura because... he could ask him to do that. I'm trying to remember, why did he want Morimura dead? Unless
He mentioned an
that's a red
escape,
herring that I'm
like I did in that
remembering.
message to myself.
I think it's a red herring.
Yeah.
Should I really just wait for him to contact me again? No. He said not to trust anyone. And that includes him.
I'm gonna very quickly fiddle with the computer setting just to see something. One moment, please.
No worries, I'll keep chatting away with my thoughts as we have a little bit of a technical checkup. It's like I do remember it's like the events of his route. I do remember, you know, constantly hiding from the government after him. You know how I remember that. I remember him constantly, you know, going to Iori to get answers from his past. I remember all this investigative stuff to try to answer what's what. I remember, you know, the constant reveals of which sector he came from and who he really is. I remember all the scenes between Minokino. Oh, I love those scenes between him and Minokino. Those were great. I remember that. I do remember there is this specific moment at the end of his route where he's watching, and it's like, it was an old recording from himself. It was a 2188 recording of himself, and then it ended with, "So, I guess I was an assassin after all." And my immediate takeaway, like, that wasn't you! You're not an assassinate! You're not an assassinate! Assassin, the previous version of you was. It doesn't make you an assassin, even if you have the same biological survival skills.
Can I just say, more attention to detail. We've seen how every different character has their own animations for walking and thinking and all that stuff. I love Sekigahara's thinking animation, because he's holding his hand up to his head like he's trying to push his brain into remembering anything, because he's so out of fucking memories. I don't know, that's just a cool detail to me.
I wonder if it's also just kind of muscle memory from when he was having constant headaches and you know, mental spasms from basically his memory being destroyed.
It could be.
Because he does have muscle memory from how he uses how he knows how to use the gun.
Both the victim and the owner of this ID card. They're
No,
from
that is a
Sakura
good
High
question.
School.
How does he know how to use that gun?
Maybe this female student knows something I don't.
It's nature. It's genetic. It carries down from his 2188 persona.
I mean, yeah,
Once day breaks.
getting with Root establishes very, very quickly that he's just got these strong survival instincts with, being able to react to situations quickly and make tough decisions on the fly. But I mean, the way it was set up specifically as though he's had practice with how to use this gun. It's not just, he grabs it, he shoots, it's like, and shoots, it's that...
Well, he did
I specifically
practice.
know.
He did practice in 2188, and that practice carried over.
That's not how genetics work.
I mean, at the same time, we do not understand how the brain works in its entirety. Like, just straight up, we do not know how our bodies work.
That's true. Well, the reason I say that is because, one of my favorite things from this game, besides the obvious existentialism of it, of what's human and what's not, is nature versus nurture, in that you are not defined by, like, you are you, not a previous version of you, despite, still, like, being a version of you is not you. They are not defined by their 2188 self. Amaguchi is not defined by Tetsuya Ida. They are still their own people despite sharing a lot of traits because, they're biologically the same person. They turned out so differently. Do I believe that Sekigahara just has very strong survival skills that naturally pushed him into the direction of being a good assassin? Absolutely. Do I think because his 2188 self practiced a lot with a gun that makes his clone good with the gun? Not necessarily. I would say his clone would probably grasp how to shoot and be able to shoot people a lot faster than most of the other kids because he's got strong survival skills.
This is just something I'm willing to go with, I guess.
Fair enough.
I'm
asking the question because the game set it up, and I'm trying to remember if it gave a specific answer.
Both the victim and the
I
owner
love
of this
these
ID card.
Can we not speak over the dialogue?
I'm sorry, there's too many questions.
They're from Sakura High School. Maybe this female student knows something I don't. Once day breaks, I'll pay a visit to the school. Sounds like school just started.
Yeah, just wait. She'll show up eventually.
I'm
Wait, just
so
started.
late.
Nope, you already missed her. Natsuno!
Crap. I need to
Oh,
drop
she's
by the
already been
track
shot.
room first.
She has.
Right, this is really late in the timeline.
Yeah, this is literally the last thing. If we go to fucking event archive.
Yeah, his is at the way bottom. To the
this
point where
this is the start, and it's this far down. Like, there's barely room for anything in
Before the
between,
beginning.
and we know that a bunch of the stuff before the beginning is just the ending scenes for a bunch of the other stories where they go into their Sentinels. So we basically only have room for those and Sekigahara's story.
Pretty much. That
No
basically
sign of her.
means if Sekigahara shows up on another route, that's always before he lost his memories.
Just about.
I just can't, unless she came really early. Oh, there she is.
Akun!
Iori Fuyusaka.
I haven't seen you in days. I couldn't stop thinking about you. But now, I'm just relieved to see her safe.
He doesn't know what's going on.
God, I love him. He's so good.
Yeah, when it's on, when their little shenanigans are on his side, they're great because he's confused. He's like, are you?
Mm.
And he's just completely oblivious to her little romance anime arc she's having, and it's great. It's so funny to watch. I love it.
God, I need a fanfic that's just Iori throwing herself at Sekigahara, and Sekigahara has to say, sorry, I'm gay. I'm mask for mask only. No femmes.
No femmes allowed.
Femboys are also banned. No Okinos in this household.
Is something wrong?
I don't think it was this scene. I want to bring it up when we get to the actual scene. I think it's the next time she meets Iori at school.
It seems like we're close. Very close. But I can't trust anyone. For now, I'll act like I remember her. I want to hear what she has to say first.
You're not that close, buddy, but you know what? For her sake, she got lucky that you don't know how not close you are anymore.
Iori, was there something you wanted to tell me?
Huh? Well, like I said before, I still like you. Even if it is one-sided.
Very one-sided.
Very.
Why don't you get to know him just a little first? Don't get me wrong, he's cute. You can absolutely have a crush on someone who's just cute, but...
I mean, at least she knows his name now. Considering
that's progress.
Considering they literally got 74% of the way through her fucking arc, and she still didn't know. When it's the only thing in her entire arc.
I will say, I think the scene was a little better before I did her whole arc.
Never mind.
Because now I know how empty her crush... a crush is all it is. I'm sorry, girl, you do not love him, you barely knew his name.
Yeah, you just got attracted to that fucking twink frame, and don't get me wrong, so did I when I first played. But
Hard
like,
to blame her.
come on, girl, have a little bit of respect for him. Like, you don't even know his fucking name.
This belong to you?
Oh, that's my student ID.
God, she really is the fucking pinnacle of live, laugh, love.
Pretty much.
I thought I'd lost it. But I'm glad you were there to find it for me. Thank you. Never...
Do these pills belong to you?
Pills? No, those aren't mine. Wait, aren't those the pills you've been taking?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
my mistake.
Expect something up.
These are mine.
What are they for? Are you sick?
I'm fine.
Not anymore.
It's nothing to worry about.
I love how the investigation of his route works. Like, it's so good.
It's incredibly natural, and you really get to see the dots connecting in his head. It's very, very entertaining. And I definitely call this one of the best routes to play through in that sense.
Yeah. Like, it really feels like you're
Chihiro
playing
Morimura.
an active role in it, rather
She's
than
the
just
school nurse here, right?
kind of watching it.
She's not a school nurse, that's what she tells everyone. She's actually the school stripper.
That's how she makes her money in the background.
Yeah, she is. What about her?
Hey, teacher bills aren't very big. I mean, teacher paychecks aren't very big. Gotta make the rest somehow.
She's very skilled with her hands, that's why she's a nurse.
What if... Ever since that day, she hasn't come back to school. Could something have happened?
Which day?
The day I heard about Miss Morimura's secret.
I'm sure she's fine. Morimura's secret. We must
She says it.
accept our fate.
Huh?
That's not good.
Run for it, Sekigahara, run!
It's okay. He's gone.
Thanks.
This is the longest conversation they've had yet, if we're going by timeline-wise in Iori's route.
My first class is about to start. What will you do now, Akun?
I'm gonna pay a visit to the nurse's office.
But those men, won't they be on campus too? Why don't you meet me here after school's out? I'll show you where to go.
All right.
I'll see you later.
See how nice it is when characters talk? You should have done that before, Iori. It's nice.
We must accept our fate. That's what Chihiro Morimura said. It's hazy, but I think I remember.
Oh, he's getting his first memory.
Oh my god. Ooh, this scene. Okay, this is a good thing.
Yeah. Again, this had me... Seems like this had me scratching my brain, like, you know, how
So this
does
is where you've been.
this world's time travel work? Is this multiverse? How do the time periods
'Cause
work?
Flashback before the Kaiju invasion. 2064.
It drove me crazy when I first saw it. I was like, how does any of this work? How can it be before the Kaiju invasion if it's in the future?
It's so warped, but it's so fun to try and figure out.
I know. I love that. I love how confusing it is. It hooks you, absolutely. Also,
This
I think
this is the first time that we see Tetsuya Ida on the screen. At least
Yes,
current Tetsuya Ida, so not counting Shu Amiguchi's flashbacks.
yeah.
So, who was Tetsuya Ida voiced by again?
The same guy who voices Shu Amaguchi, which is, give me 5 seconds. I might need 10. It is voiced by, it's like Mick Wingert, who
That's right.
shockingly, yes, that is the same voice for Shu Amaguchi, it's the same voice that adult Tetsuya Ida has.
See, when you point it out, you can hear it, but it's so different. And
So,
yet,
like
you can really feel that genetically it's the same, but nurture has made them so different, even to their voices, and it's so good. This applies to so many different people in this fucking game. Like, whenever you see characters from the previous loops, they sound different. Like, the two scenes we have with young Tetsuya Ida from the previous loop, he sounds noticeably different to current Shu Amiguchi, and sounds different to Tetsuya Ida, but still resembles Tetsuya Ida in, like, a young way. God, everyone in this game is giving the vocal performance of their careers, and the voice director, I don't know who they were, but god, they need so much praise as well. Holy fuck.
We gotta pay attention. The voice corrector is Kristen Lamonte.
Kristen Lamonte, thank you so much. You did such an amazing job with this fucking game. You deserve so much praise and money and appreciation. Fucking hell. God, I'm gesticulating my arms wildly. I need to drink my fucking bubble tea to calm down.
No, go. I do not blame you. I was going to go off if you, it's like on this voice if you weren't. It is because of how convincingly different Tetsuya Ida, this current version of Tetsuya Ida, sounds to young Amaguchi, or even just how he sounded a few years ago when he looks more like what you would expect an older Amaguchi to sound like. That for the longest time I was like, they can't be the same character. I refuse to believe that they're the same character. They don't look alike, they don't sound alike. And yet, you know, until the game literally basically told me straight up, no, that is the same guy. And at that point, yes, I could hear it, but that's how convincingly different it was. It just put me in denial for so long, and dang, that is impressive. That is so impressive. And we've only gotten one line from him.
So I know I'm saying that everyone in this game is giving the performance of their careers, and I stand by that. I do think that is true. I will say, Mick Wingert, I think you said?
Finger.
Mick Wingert?
Yes.
Cool. He is giving one of the best performances of this game. I think him Ben Diskin as Cutashiba and Fluffy in 426, and Allegra Clark as the 7,000 Iori Fiyasakas.
Yeah.
I think they're three of the strongest performances in this game just because of how many characters they have to voice that all sound distinctly different from each other, and yet you still feel genetically that they're the same. And it's so fitting for this game. Yeah, I think those three are giving the strongest performances in this game just based on that. I think once you get further to characters that aren't voicing half a cast of a TV series at once, you get to people like Kyle McCarley as Sekigahara, Zach Aguilar as Keitaro Miura, who is also great. Zach Aguilar is amazing. We stand.
Dan hard.
He does so many great roles. He's Ota Matsushita in the I, the Somnium File games. He's tons of people. And he's fairly young for how prolific he is these days.
25?
Something like that.
Extremely young.
Like, he's in his 20s.
He's younger than me. I'll say that much.
He's been in a lot of things for how young he is. And he's earned it. He is talented as fuck.
He is, and Keitaro Miura is the best performance I have heard him give yet. And I do not think it will be topped anytime soon. If at all. It is just that good of a performance from a very, very talented actor. Anyway, back to Tetsuya Ida's introduction. The voice acting is just so good, we had to.
Also, nice butt shot.
Figured I'd give the area an advanced survey.
Quite the view. Worth taking in one last time.
Where are his eyes looking? Where are his eyes looking? That sure is quite the view, Tetsuya Ida.
Right.
I expect there to be considerable damage.
We weren't prepared for them in Sector 1. There was nothing we could do. But not this time. We will fend them off.
Broken and patched.
So this is really early on in the timeline, because it is the current loop, but this is still Sector 2. This is recent. Not recent, this is fairly old for this loop. Because Sector 1 is the 2100s, which we do not see any of the battle for. This is the site of the Sentinel infection incident. This is when people catch DD-426. Yeah, so this is when people start getting brain damage to lose their memories and shit. Meanwhile, Sector 3 is when Jiro Izumi finally gets himself killed after defending Megami's homeland for too long. And then Sector 4 is the final battle of the game.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so.
After this happens, that's when he shifts to 2024, and that's when Jiro finds Megami and Tomi. And then, yeah, the battle happens. He's the only one with a Sentinel that's able to fight. And since he's fighting alone and he's fighting a hopeless battle, he quite literally kills himself for it. And then, yeah, they all go to the 80s.
We've managed to prepare 19 Sentinels, and we've had positive results in our battle simulations.
That won't mean much if our enemies have evolved.
I was about to say the same thing.
It seems our victory ultimately depends on luck. It seems our victory ultimately depends on luck.
God, you can really feel his hopelessness in his voice. Like, he is a cynic. He does not believe this is going to work.
He doesn't even care. Like, we know at this point the only thing he cares about, and it's not this. Not even close.
It's so fitting. I love it. It's... Oh,
I love Tetsuya Ida. I love the monster Tetsuya Ida is. Like, he is...
I'm not an Akechi fucker. I'm usually not the kind of person that gets obsessed with the villain characters, not anymore. But damn.
Ah, shame.
Ida can step on me, hey.
I love villains. Usually not attracted to them, but I love them.
Like, don't get me wrong, my homosexual awakening was motherfucking Nagito Komaeda from Danganronpa 2. I was doomed from the start, but Tetsuya Ida's a fine man. I can fix him. I can fix him.
Good luck.
So let's
Good
assume
luck.
we're met with the worst case scenario.
Or at least I can make him have a little fun.
If we fail this time, we'll perform another loop, and we'll start over from the very beginning. We'll have a greater chance of success that way.
Even if it means leaving this world behind.
Pretty giving
No.
up on it. He doesn't care.
No more running away. If we don't settle this here,
And you can see in his face that he does not approve. He is shocked. That is a bad reaction. Which, of course, makes sense from his perspective.
then I'm
It's
initiating
about
Operation
wiping-
Aegis.
it's about wiping AI Kisaragi's memory and then putting her in the next Tomy of the next loop. That's all he cares about.
So you intend
That's
to
what-
close the loop then? If you do, no one will be able to leave.
At the very least, we'll survive.
You expect us to grow old and die in this godforsaken place?
When that time comes, we must accept our fate.
In any case,
Yes. If we win now, we can avoid such an outcome.
He is pissed. Look at that fucking frown. God, everyone is so expressive in this game. I love it. But it's like subtle. It's not super bombastic sprites like something like Persona or fucking Danganronpa. It's all human, but it's so expressive. It's really strong art direction.
Then we'll finally be able to leave this world and... Sekigahara-kun!
how long have you been standing there?
Uh-oh.
Hi, it's your friendly neighborhood assassin, Twink.
I don't know
To-
who you people are or where you came from. And frankly,
back to-
I don't care.
Yeah, to go back to one of Mora's lines real quick. She did say, when the time comes, we must accept our fate.
When
it's
that time
lines like
comes.
that.
We must accept our fate.
It's lines like that that really build on this game's theme of who came before, having to live with the consequences of what they've done and what they've been through, and put their hope in who comes next in the next generation. And it's lines like that that made me really, really believe that that's and that I still wish that the ending really reflected. It does to an extent. Like, if you ask me, I would have said I only think the main 15 should survive, to really hammer in that message of we must put our fate, it's like in, the next generation. That's who we're fighting for, so that everyone who comes after us can survive. And it's lines like that, like, man, the theme is there, and it's so strong. It's so good. Because, she's kind of accepting that, that she's probably not going to have a future. That Ida should accept that too. But they need to keep fighting to break this loop for everyone else. And I love that theme. I love it so much. Okay, we can continue.
Just as long as you can defend my city from the kaiju. Without retreating, that is.
I just realized there is potential for some very angsty Tetsuya Ida and a Sekigahara.
Yeah, I saw the gears turn in your head when they were standing close to each other.
Am I that fucking predictable? Oh my god. I mean, my old name was the Yowie Church. It fits.
It's the philosophy you still live by.
This is my brain. I'm only Hamburger Chariot through a forced rebrand.
I mean, it
You'll
works.
be the one in the Sentinel protecting the city. We're counting on you.
Gotta get those tits jiggling.
But now he knows too much, so
Well-
Tetsuya has got to put him on special duty.
No, move closer. Don't move away.
I assume you have some questions for me.
There's something I need to confirm. If I keep my end of the bargain, then you're gonna stop using Ryoko-senpai, right?
Nope.
Ryoko Senpai. Have we seen Ryoko yet? I mean,
Yes,
other than
we have
other than the
in Jiro's
battles. Yeah. Okay.
No. We have in Jiro's route.
That's
She's
right.
been in the Nerfus office, but she's been used very, very sparingly at this early in the story.
Please understand, I never had any intention of using her.
Oh, that voice and those glasses shining. Also, I just
You-
realized that's a green moon. Is this reminding you of a particular game, Mirth?
When you said, "Is this reminding you?" then I put it together. Is this the dark hour right now? Is that when the Sentinels and the kaiju show up?
I mean, all I'm saying is Tetsuya Ida is basically just Stregger. Totally the
You're right
same.
there.
But I'll try to be more careful
Ow, my
going
cat's biting me.
forward.
He even sounds like, oh fuck, what's his name? Takaya? You know, the really forgettable human villain of Persona 3, Takaya from Stregger.
Look, I love Strega in concept. I don't like any of the Strega characters.
Yeah, Chidori at least gets to be mildly important to Junpei. That's about it.
I mean, yeah, she furthers the development of a character I actually care about, so it's the best I can give her. Basically, there's a lot of improvements that can be made
Something
for those three in the
else?
remake.
As a matter of fact,
He stands closer when you talk to him from this side than when you talk to him through the other side. I'm optimizing homoerotic tension.
You did say you wanted Amaguchi and Sekigahara fanfics. Here you go.
Oh my fucking god. Oh, not like this. No. No, I mean...
This timeline, he doesn't make Ryoko. It's like infect the Sentinels. This time, he makes Sekigahara do it.
Oh god. No, this time Sekigahara does it willingly to impress his daddy.
for the Sentinels, you want command over.
Oh, I have so many cursed ideas. Why do I have ideas for this? Oh my god.
It's because they stood close to each other. That's all you needed.
I can't write this shit either. I can't fucking sit down and write. I can plan every scene, every conversation, but actually writing it myself is the hard part that I just can't do. Fucking hell. You know what we're gonna need to do? We're gonna need to become like a fucking duo of writers that submits a fuckload of 13 Sentinels fanfiction on AO3. Like, I do the planning and editing, you write shit, and we publish it under a combined name. Hamburger Mauser.
Hamburger Mouser. Well,
What-
it sounds better than the Mirth Chariot.
Watch out, it's the latest OTP Hamburger Mauser. Oh my god. More like fucking... We're each other's beards at this point. God. Sorry, I'm downloading a bunch of mods while I record as well. I recently bought Final Fantasy 13 because I want to play Final Fantasy 13 2, and you need to play 13 as homework for that. So I'm getting a bunch of mods that like fix the game and restore content and stuff and upscale things, and one of them is a set of 4K upscales for the FMV cutscenes, which is 150 gigabytes. So that's naturally split into a bunch of different downloads, which is why I'm pausing every once in a while to start them up.
You
They gotta
require
multitask.
third generation machines, right?
Yeah, that's it, eh? And this is something that's not gonna fuck up the recording, so...
I forgot. How many generations did Okino make for the Sentinels? Or did he make all of them?
I thought he made all of them. Like, of the actual Sentinels anyway. I don't know if Okino made the Type 98 bipeds, which were like the prototypes. But I believe all of the Sentinel generations Okino made.
The ones that actually house the, compatible humans.
Yeah, the ones that get used in the final battle.
Okay, fair enough.
Then I'll update their systems as promised. Though I have to ask, why are you having me do this? Wouldn't it be faster to go directly through Morimura?
I believe a shift in the chain of command is in order.
Well-timed, sinister music as he turns menacingly and says that a shift of command is in order.
And I'd like it to be done without her knowledge. Depending on how the situation unfolds,
Sekigahara is frowning at that.
there's a
Ignore the
possibility
squeaky toy.
she may resort to
My dog doesn't
drastic
know how tense
measures.
this is.
Is that what she was just talking about? This... Operation Aegis?
That's right.
Close the loop? What are they talking about? Are they planning on abandoning the city? No. I can't let that happen.
Oh,
I need
he's
more
holding his head
details
even
on this
here.
so-called operation.
I guess you were right. It's just kind of what he does when he's in heavy thought.
Operation Aegis. What is its purpose?
Like, I thought it was more fitting because it was the whole, he's lost his memory, so he's really trying to dig into his brain and figure out shit. But he's doing this even before he's been infected, so...
It would just be an idle pose. They're just reusing the art for this one scene because he's in thought. That just could be naturally what the pose goes to when he's thinking.
I guess so. I just liked the little bit of extra.
I think it makes more sense, you're right, when he's losing his memory and after he does, rather than scenes like this. But again, just could be reusing the model animation.
The enemy's main target is the underground mainframe. Each terminal is equipped with a self-defense protocol. However, the enemy's attacks seem to bypass it. So the moment they strike, we'll hack the terminal. This will activate the defense protocol. The Aegis system.
Isn't that a good thing?
Not exactly. Doing so will render our time machine useless. And that means we can never start over again.
Notice how that's how he explains it to Sekigahara, even though when he was talking to Morimura, they were saying stuff like loops. Those two know what's going up, while when he says time machine to Sekigahara, he's just simplifying it.
Yeah, one of the things I love about this game is that a lot of the confusion just comes from the fact that lots of different characters use different terms to describe the same processes, and it doesn't come across as annoying because there's so many different people that think differently and come from different eras of history. It's just so natural, and it's such an amazing detail that I have to praise both the writers and the localizers for.
What's so bad about
I have
that?
no idea how the localizers went through all these different and very complicated terminology and made seamless equivalents to them in English. I don't know how they did that.
How many Persona fans did they sacrifice?
At least half of them. That's probably why the fan base went crazy when Joker was announced.
Can they
for Smash.
sacrifice the other half?
Yes, that's when they sacrificed them all. That's when they were localizing this game, right after he was announced.
Doesn't matter as long as we succeed, right?
Time will cease to flow in this world. When it does, everything will descend into chaos. And in the end, we'll be the only ones left behind in this hellscape.
To be continued.
So that's right. I remember them saying that. Like, they can't shift if the Aegis system and turn off. They'll be trapped there and basically just age and die. That's what they said anyway. I remember them saying that, which, again, made me for the longest time think this was more of a literal cage.
Operation Aegis. By hacking the underground mainframe computer at the moment the kaiju attack, the terminal's Aegis system, or self-defense system, will be force-activated. As a result, the terminals will automatically attack and destroy all the kaiju. However, activating the Aegis system will render the time machine useless, preventing the user from resetting the timeline. Instead, they will be left behind to survive in the ruins of their destroyed world.
No more loops.
No more loops.
I mean, they're basically on the last loop anyway before the system goes into full reset.
So let's go up. Operation Aegis, scene number 27. So this... fuck. So we have a fair amount of time in between this and Bridgetop Standoff. Most of this is Tetsuya Ida working on the various AI and androids and shit.
Oh, I love those. Those are some of my favorite scenes in the whole game for how existentially horrifying they get. I cannot wait to get to those.
There's some amazing characterization in them too. Fucking hell. Especially between 426 and Ida. Some of those conversations are biting. I love it.
Oh, those get horrifying, and I love it.
How many times have you killed me because I wouldn't give you the information?
I love that. Oh, that is so uncomfortably terrifying. I love it so much.
So I'm pretty sure instantly after this is when we get the Sentinel infection incident, because there's only 3 scenes in between this and Jiro being fucking shifted out of it.
One thing I really want to pay attention to this time around is how exactly the infection works. Because I remember playing through it, and I would pay very close attention to how the characters would describe it, but it seemed to affect each pilot differently, and by the end, I couldn't fully get a read on the consequences of the exact,
I think it's
what the infection really does.
I think it's affected by how long they were in the Sentinel for, and obviously because they weren't all shifted at exactly the same time, some of them were in there for longer than others. So Jiro, I believe, was one of the first people shifted out, which is why he comparatively suffers fairly minimally compared to the others. Or it hadn't infected everyone yet, and they just shifted everyone out as preventative. Because compared to, say, Ryoko and Sekigahara, who eventually end up losing all of their memories, clearly they're ones that suffered more from it.
Well, what I'm trying to bring up with that is, I mean, like, the overall results, like... I'm trying to go back to what I was trying to put together of it when I was first playing through it. Like, I took what happened to Jiro as a very severe case of it, that he literally sped up the process by, you know, fighting in that Sentinel for 2 hours to, it completely erased him and left in the hut. And I kind of took that as a very extreme and fast version of the fate that awaited basically all the ones that were infected. And seeing, you know, Okino describe how he cured himself basically confirmed this to me. He basically said from how he described it, he basically said his brain went dead and he used his nanomachines to rebuild his personality. He essentially just put an artificial intelligent copy of his own brain that serves the same function. Which, you know, when I was watching that, brought up the question, is he still himself anymore? Which, you know, existentialism and that nonsense. So using both Okino and Jiro's fate made me read, so this disease basically slowly erases you. But then we get to Sekigahara and Ryoko, and they just get memory loss, despite how obviously Ryoko is suffering so much. She looks like, her mind is being erased, but by the end, she just had memory loss. That's not what Juro or Okino described. And then Sekigahara, it was getting slowly worse for him, and he was saying, he was describing that he was kind of reluctant to do what Okino did, but he didn't really have much of a choice, and he just got memory loss. So that's what I'm asking. What does it do? Does it just erase your memory? Does it erase you? Why does it seem to affect everyone differently? So I want to pay extra attention of what exactly it does, and why it seems to be a little different in each case.
With Juro, you could make the argument that the reason why it erases his entire being is because he subjected himself to that virus for several hours.
Yeah,
obviously,
that one makes sense.
That's going to have a lot stronger of an effect compared to the others.
That one makes sense. But compared to Okino, he said he had to basically re-simulate himself through his nanomachines.
See, my theory is that Okino didn't actually need to do that. My theory is that Okino chose to do that thinking they needed to, because Okino's pretty proactive about this kind of shit. Okino thinks he knows more than he actually does, and granted, Okino does know a lot about what's going on, probably more than any of the other, 15 participants in the final battle, but...
Yeah, that would make sense, actually.
Okino does still have gaps. Okino does still make miscalculations. Okino still has to figure things out. And I'm thinking, you can explain it by saying that Okino just didn't need to go as far as they did.
Oh. Yeah, actually, I think that makes the most sense, actually. Okay,
and it would
I'll
be
go
really,
with that.
and it would be really fitting to his character as well.
It would. That's why when you said that, I was like, actually, I think that makes the most sense, and I think you might be right. I think you're probably onto something. I'll keep an eye out to see if that one checks out, but I think you're onto it.
God, this is one of the great things about this game. There's so much to talk about. There is so much to dive into. There is so much opportunity for discussion. And
it's these little things that I love putting together. And I think we have been on this episode for like an hour.
We are 52 minutes in. We probably do not have time for another recording, I'm assuming.
We probably do if we go on slightly less tangents. I mean, one 30-minute episode, we can squeeze that in.
Especially since Haze locked, which means it's Goto time, and Goto doesn't really have a whole lot to say in his prologue from memory. It's the rest of his route that's a lot more packed full of info.
If I recall, you can do his first event, then it basically locks out until you beat the game.
Pretty much. Or so close to it. You need to get all of the other 12 to 80% or higher. So yeah, that's what we are going to do. Do we have any final thoughts we want to wrap up on Sekigahara? Because there's just so fucking much to talk about.
I guess the rest of the stuff I want to say for his will come up naturally as we go through his route. Because, yeah, it's going through seems like things that make me remind stuff that, questions I have or theories I want to talk about. So, I guess it'll come up when we get further in Natsuno's and come back around to him.
Yeah, that is going to do it for today's episode of 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim's spoiler playthrough commentary. I have been Hamburger Chariot, and we are going to catch you in the next one. This is Hamburger Chariot, and Mirth Mouse is signing out. Thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe, which I really need to actually remember to say at the end of videos. Whoops.
I'll help you remember for you. But yes, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next episode.
See ya, everybody.